Welcome to your Morning Cup with iBenz Academy.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Kara.
And we're Kash. I said I'm Ashley.
I know, that was weird.
I know. Should we do it again?
It's fine. Just Everyone knows she's Ash.
I'm Ash.
She's Ash. and that's why we're Kash, not Cashley.
When I meet new people, I usually say Ashley. I usually don't say Ash until I know people. I feel like I know our audience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been in a mode of, new job using my Ashley name.
Yes. Yes. Well, you guys know her as Ash, right? Mm-hmm. I think it was Ash. So, times of transformation are upon us. Times of
transformation. The latest article on Substack by Inelia Benz. It's all about transformation, and we are going through a transformation here where the days are getting longer.
Yay!
It's getting warmer.
Yay!
Sunnier.
Yay!
Yeah. Things are starting to sprout, plants and flowers. It's getting really nice.
It's so nice. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're in the Northern Hemisphere where we are at the Shaman Shack. And I would say, it's been a long winter. I usually like winter time here. There's lots of rain and it's cool. And sometimes we get snow and it's lovely. But now I'm feeling like, bring on the spring, bring on the change, and it's here. Yay! Definitely. It's so nice.
I don't mind the winter and the whole cocooning. It's time to rest.
Yes.
It feels great to do that, sleep in and, go to bed earlier, all those things. But yeah, I'd say over the last month, it's been where's the sun?
Mm-hmm.
I need the sun.
Yes, I'm definitely feeling that.
It's definitely shown up, which is great. We've been needing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when we're on these edges of new seasons, it's always a great time for introspection, for looking at our lives, what's resonant, what's dissonant, and whether it's spring or autumn, this is an amazing time of year to cleanse.
Yeah. And Inelia gave some really great pointers, 3 steps to do for this time of year, and also for our Southern Hemisphere folks, what to do in the autumn, which is the same kind of energy, that transformation. And we wanted to talk about it a little bit further. What's our transformation energy for spring? How's that expressing right now? How do we go about cleansing? How do we set our intentions and then also reestablish that connection, that renewal, the revitalizing energy?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. For me personally, spring is a very powerful time of year. It's when our birthday is, and I feel like it's always an amazing way to start the season with birthday magic and, looking ahead of what's next year going to bring, making wishes on cakes and stuff. But I've just noticed patterns over the period of my life where spring is a really powerful time. And it's not just because of the birthday, but also because of all these other energies, literally the sprouting of things coming up around us and the renewal of, plants and trees. And it's just amazing. So for me, it's that cliche of spring cleaning, but it's so spot on, so spot on. In fact, even just the other day before Inelia had written the newsletter and put it out there, I had this urge to purge, go through and clean and tweak things, even moving stuff around and saging. And then lo and behold, a couple days later, she's like, okay, it's time to cleanse. I'm like, perfect. Yeah. So that's always a nice validation.
Oh, yeah. I was doing that too, just with the cleansing and then also restocking, building up my pantry, my deep freezer, getting a splurge of socks and things that restocking on things that over the winter got depleted, right? And it was nice to utilize what we had in stock, but it's also nice to refill it, replenish it, and
that's such a good point.
Energy back into that space.
Exactly. It's not just about getting rid or cleanse, but even bringing in and restock. That's another really important energy too. So it's a good point.
I usually end up doing it very sporadically, where I pick random things. I think the first thing I did was my bathroom vanity and cupboards and everything. It's just something I don't think I've ever cleared out since I moved into the house, which has been like over 5 years.
Interesting.
So it was really nice to like get it organized, to clean out things. I'm like, I'm never going to use this. Why did I have this? And or I forgot I even had that. So now it's all organized and beautiful, and I'm keeping it organized, which is really great. But it's a good feeling because now it has like a more working flow. So it adds even to like, for example, my morning routine where I'm getting ready and I might be using the blow dryer or my makeup or whatever it is, and it's all in a nice place, and I can keep putting it back into that space, and it feels good to have orderly space.
Oh yeah, it's so nice when you can like find your things or know where things are if you need to. It can pile up, and it's not always the case, so that's really nice for sure. Yeah, I also think like now is a great time, at least for me, the last few days have been connecting with my house, like literally. So everything from looking at feng shui of my space, so tweaking things, moving things. I like pulled out my feng shui book and just needed to refresh on some good best practices and things that I don't subscribe to, because you can pick and choose what programs you want. But most of the time I find feng shui really useful, and it just felt really nice to bring in those energies this time of year too. Or with my plants are starting to sprout in my yard, so I'm connecting with them. There's a really great class that came out recently on animal communication and experiential telepathy. We've talked about it last week, and using those skills to connect with the plants in the area. And even just the plants inside my house, I realized like, ooh, this one needs new light. Oh, this needs to be repotted. And I just had this desire, this urge to like repot at like 10 p.m. at night randomly, but when inspiration strikes, roll with it. So that's been really nice. I've also been walking the boundaries of my property recently, which I haven't done in a while, mostly because I think it's been chilly and rainy and winter. And sometimes I do, even with my like gear on and stuff, but this time I did it barefoot in the grass with the morning sun, and that just feels That's like nice. A whole nother level of connection, which is amazing. And it's cleansing for me too, like getting my feet on the ground after probably months of not, So that's been really, really nice too. So there's just a lot of ways that you can reconnect and reestablish yourself.
Yeah, when I like pick different spaces I'm working with, like say my closet or my garage or whatever, my office, I actually did also completely clear out my office. Nice. And it was great. It felt super good. And did a cleansing in there. But looking at the energy, as Inelia calls out, to like decide like, what do you want that space to be? And for example, my office, I really want it to be a space of focus. I don't want to go into my office and feel sleepy or disoriented or something, I want it to be an energy of focus and joy, light, love. That's nice. What I wanted to experience in that space. And I think I also brought in inspiration and motivation. So I brought in a lot of things. Nice. But anyway, it felt really good. And then this space, like beautifying it, making sure my plants are in good spot and doing well, making sure, I'm just bringing in the energy and intent into it all that I want to have and I want to experience. And then also, of course, clearing it out. And we have a great video that we released, I think it was a couple of years ago, where we were building out a recording studio at the Shaman Shack, and we went through the space and cleansed it. And we were using sage, and we were using a Tibetan bowl. And you can use Tibetan bowls. You can use those like, I don't remember what they are, but I have little some bells. Of them. Yeah. Little bells. They're so cute. The clanking bells, Or an actual bell, or you can use your hands. There's a great video that Inelia has about cleansing a space with clapping. Yeah. And, I do that first. So I went in the room, I did the cleansing with a bowl and with a crystal bowl. And then I went through with sage. And then with the sage, I was going through with like my intention, as like, what did I want to bring in? First, I was clearing out all the old energies and anything that no longer is resonant. And then bringing that in, like my intention with the sage. And it makes such a big difference. And beautifying the space, like putting your energy into it, that's to me, like especially in spring, that really comes up. It's like, I want to see vibrant colors and flowers and, getting the space looking beautiful in a space that I want to be energized and be inspired. That feels really resonant and good to me.
Oh, yeah. And beauty, it raises our frequency, right? And it's how we connect. Inelia has talked about this many, many times. Beauty is that first step to connection and experiential telepathy. So when we generate that feeling, not only are we connecting with ourselves and the object or the item, but that's raising our frequency because it's gorgeous, right? It makes us, feel happy and all sorts of good things. So it's just so nice. Such a beautiful time of year.
Yeah. And you can look at spaces that have at least I had this in my home where there's areas that kind of don't function.
Yes.
You can just tell, it's no matter what you do, if you have this object or objects that they just don't fit anywhere well, or that they just the area doesn't ever seem to flow well and it just collects clutter, or it's just not flowing, And I had an area like that in my office, and I was trying different things, and next thing you know, I'm moving stuff around, and I think I got it now to where it's flowing better. It's not complete because there's a couple things I want to get for it, but it's I had to try out different things in that space. On this little table that I have to see what's gonna resonate here, other than just being a collector of junk, So if it's blank and open, it just collects junk. But if I give it purpose and create something with the space, then it actually holds that space rather than collects junk. At least in that spot for me.
Very good tip. Very good tip. If you give it a job, then it at least will function a little bit better than, well, I guess if you want to collect junk, that's one thing, but probably not for what we're trying to do.
Right.
I've also seen the last few days, I've been on a cleansing crystal spree. So we've bought tons of crystals over the years, and we're gifted crystals all the time. We've got a lot of crystals, which is fabulous. But a lot of them I haven't actually done anything with. So they might be gifted, and then I just put them somewhere, but I actually don't cleanse them, even though they've been gifted to me. This is actually not a very good practice. I would say if you've been gifted something like a crystal or stone, especially if you bought it in a store, it's good to immediately cleanse it, just because all the energies from other people in the store can get picked up from it, and also the owners and all these things. And yeah, I kind of have a bad habit of not getting on that. I'll put them in a spot to get ready to cleanse them, and it'll just stay there for months. Oops. So the other day I was cleaning out things, and I pulled out this huge box of amethyst crystals, which I love. They're fabulous. And they're really intended to be materials and power objects, or, for other things. But man, I just haven't cleansed them, and all these other stones and crystals that we got. So I've just been cycling through cleansing crystals. That way, even if I don't program them immediately, they're at least clean and clear and not sticky. And even just thinking about it now, I've some other items have come up into my awareness around I got gifted a cauldron, a 100-year-old, I don't know, big cauldron pot. Oops. I didn't cleanse it. I need to sage it. So, but it's it's kind of like this, things will pop up into our awareness, and that's great. Run with that. And so after this podcast, I'm going to go cleanse that cauldron, because there's about 100 years of, energies just sitting in my living room right now. So yeah, right. Spring cleaning.
It's a good reminder. If you've got something sitting around that you haven't cleansed before, or forgot to cleanse when you brought it in, it's a good reminder. This is time to cleanse it. And, even the energy that Inelia talked about with restocking, renewing, revitalizing, reconnecting, reestablishing, I've noticed that coming up a lot too. And for example, reestablishing an exercise routine and going to the fitness center and working out, or riding the Peloton, or, counting my steps. Whereas in the wintertime, it was wasn't paying attention to that. I was, of course, still doing yoga and moving and things like that, but just not with the same type of intent and purpose. And this is a great time if you want to rebuild a connection to that type of routine in your life, that physical exercise. It's so motivating to be outside, and even if it's autumn, it's beautiful. I love the autumn breeze and the trees and the colors. It's a gorgeous time of year.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, reestablishing ourselves, whether it's spring or autumn, it's what are the energies are we going to bring with us in the year ahead, right?
It could be a meditation practice.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Reestablishing or establishing a daily practice, like meditation.
I started putting my phone outside of my bedroom again. Oops. I kind of got in the bad habit for a few months of like keeping my phone on my nightstand. And it's like, oh, yeah, like putting it outside the bedroom, using the analog or whatever it is, analog
clock,
alarm clock, and not using a digital or not using my phone for an alarm clock and all that. So it's like little things that were coming in because that's the energy, and there might be things you're already doing because that energy is already coming up, and it's empowering to recognize why that energy is coming up, and then we can consciously act upon it and ride that wave and take advantage of the opportunity.
Absolutely. So environment, habits, even like our physical bodies, it's a great time to like do a detox or a cleanse. For me personally, I've been getting this niggle the last few weeks to like do some homeopathy, and I'm like, oh, I need to like get on that, like do some research, talk to my allies about it. So if you feel like these niggles are coming in around, ooh, check that out, whether it's like cleanse a cauldron or, get outside or move your phone, like listen to it. Now's the time, because this is coming up to be transformed. Yeah. So pay attention. I
think this is even just like little things like, your bedding,
yes.
Like it unless you live in a place where like the temperature from winter to summer is pretty like consistent, then you might not notice this, but from winter to summer, so in that springtime, like changing your sheets, so the bedding I use in the winter is much warmer than what I want in the summer. It's way too hot, and I've been noticing that at night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get my summer blankets out because this is just too hot. Or even your wardrobe, I'm noticing like my sweaters and my heavier jackets, all those things are starting to get pushed back in the closet, and the scarves, and the clothes that are lighter or more like active wear, things like that, those are starting to come up and be more prominent. So even things like that start to transform.
It's true. Yeah, the wardrobe for sure, bedding. I will also notice that even like digital things have been coming up to be looked at, to be cleansed. So like I saw a bunch of like old photos and even old devices that I don't use anymore. And I was like kind of keeping them around just in case, but it's been like 3 years or longer. I backed everything up. It's like, I can just get rid of that, and even just cleansing like photos and imagery that's like not resonant, right? Like even if it's a photo that I feel like I don't feel good or look good in, it's like, I don't want that photo around to like remind me that I don't feel good when I look at it, So I just deleted it, right? And I cleaned up like my desktop on my computer, my files. It seems like, it's not that big of a deal, but it's still part of that transformation and that cleansing energy. Because a lot of us do spend a lot of time on our devices. So even having a tidy device can make a big difference.
For sure.
Yeah. Digital spring cleaning.
So start with your why, right? What's your intention? What is it that you want to bring in with this transformation? And then, of course, start taking the steps to cleanse, picking out those 3 items, as Inelia mentioned. Pick 3 items to release. I always like starting with, and I learned this also in Walk With Me Now as one of the weekly homeworks, is getting a box and start filling it. And if you pick only 3 items to put in the box, it's like a great way to get started. Because if you're like me, you put a few things, and next thing you know, it's like overflowing 5 trash bags. You're like, wait, that's gotta go. I never use that. I don't even like that. And like, and then you go to donate it, and it becomes, it's like, it's a regular thing in the sense that it's a nice way to get started. So just pick 3 items. Maybe one space if you're, want to just pick your kitchen cabinets, your, hallway linen closet, like whatever it is, just pick a space to get started, and then another space and another space. Those are great steps to get going. Yeah,
can start small, baby steps. Start with a corner of the room and then slowly make your way, or go where inspiration goes and flutter around like a butterfly. That can work too.
Many ways to do it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, restock, renew, revitalize, reestablishing that connection, bringing that energy in that you want to experience through this next phase in our lives and next phase in the season.
Yeah, and through all those steps, you mentioned intention or intent. That's such an important part of all this. It's like, what's your why? Like, what do you want to bring in or get rid of? And even just having a very simple intent, like if you're using sage and you're cleansing, like, for example, I cleansed a necklace the other day, like held it up, had my sage, and I just was like, I'm setting the intent to cleanse this necklace. This necklace is cleansed. This necklace is cleansed. Even something as simple as that is so powerful. But even beyond that, there are things you can bring in, like setting your office space with certain intentions, right? Or programming crystals. So that's all part of this reconnection and transformation too. So let's do it consciously and with intent. And share with us. We'd love to hear more about, like, what are you doing this time of year, whether it's spring or autumn. Share ways with us that you are cleansing your space, your life, your body, and
riding that wave of transformation.
Yeah, exactly. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. So get in touch.
Also, we will link everything that we mentioned in the details of this podcast. But thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.